Hi guys, this is Heike. Good morning. It's Saturday. I've had my first cup of coffee, so I should be good to go and give you a short summary about my presentation on women and leadership. There are a lot of assumptions, underlying bias regarding gender differences in leadership, where only few are actually proven by research. And I would like to start and give you some of those few research results. Women are more likely to use democratic and transformational styles than men are. Then there's a slight effectiveness advantage for women in traditional feminine domains and a slight disadvantage for women in traditional masculine domains. And there's a greater use by women of transformational and contingent reward behaviors. If we look at statistics, one fact is very clear and obvious. Women are underrepresented throughout all societies in major leadership roles. Why is that? What are the barriers that women actually encounter? I would like to look at that for a moment. Most of you will be familiar with the glass ceiling metaphor, which is actually now considered to be more wrong than right, and has been replaced by a new metaphor, the labyrinth. Why? Because the labyrinth actually conveys the idea of a very complex journey and about variety of challenges that women actually face. It is very obvious that the passage through a labyrinth is never easy, it's not straight, simple or direct, but it requires persistence. The second source that I used for my research and my insights is from the Harvard Business Review, the latest issue, which had a spotlight on women and leadership. And what I liked about this and what I like to share with you is that it's very practical and gives very good examples and recommendations of what can actually be done to overcome bias. It looks at what are we actually talking about, what kind of bias and barriers, what can be done. The articles state that research has moved away from a focus on the exclusion of women from leadership positions toward investigating in so-called second-generation forms of gender bias. And this bias erects of often invisible barriers that arise from cultural assumptions, from our organizational structures, and just simply of patterns of interactions that benefit men and put women at disadvantage. Just a few of those examples that are named here. There is a paucity of role models for women. Fewer female leaders means, of course, fewer role models, and that's something that is very important for all of us. Then the lack of access of women to networks and to sponsors. Men are much more likely to have mentors that not only help them grow, but actually also help them to get promoted. So what can we do what can be done in order to overcome those barriers? It all starts with education, educating men and women alike to realize what's actually going on and to raise awareness. Then the necessity to create, set up coaching relationships for women, support groups of peers, etc. And then a third very interesting point that I would like to share with you is the necessity for women's development efforts to be anchored in purpose rather than in how women are perceived. What does that mean? I just give you a short, brief example. Hillary Clinton might give a speech on the Iraq War, and the headline in the article being published afterwards is about her hairstyle. So what is pointed out here is that how women in leadership positions are perceived, how they dress, how they talk, how they show executive presence has been the focus of many efforts in order to get more women into leadership positions. But we all know there's nothing wrong about this, but we all know that if we focus on others and how we're being perceived by others, the danger is to become less clear about own goals and less open to actually learning from failure, realizing who do we need to be in order to achieve those goals. And then a last recommendation that I worked out more on a personal note is very much related to what Warren Bennis is saying on becoming a leader. I would like to see, as also Northouse puts it, changes happening on different levels. Because we face the complexity, changes need to happen on different levels, on a personal level, in our organizations, in society, so that every man and every woman can become the best version of herself. That is, I think, what is this all about. And as Warren Bennis puts it, what will happen and what we will see increasingly happening is personal visions being manifested, and I think that is very powerful. Okay, this is my closing sentence, and I see you back online.